Hello. I have a few questions emailed to me asking me about the third type of the Wing Chun, the Jing, or the Biuji type of the short Jing. Is it going to bounce off people and so forth, so forth? So there's a few people ask me for that, and my answer to them is this: all the three types of Jing are just basic stuff. It is nothing mysterious at all. It's nothing about you touch people and let them fly away, or those kind of mysterious stuff. This three types of Jings is something which is everybody can develop, and it is just the fundamental tools in Wing Chun. Okay, so I personally do not believe in the magic that you touch and fly people and those kind of stuff, because probably when I was young I probably believed on that, and now after seeing different stuff and meeting different great teacher in Jing and so forth, from various style of Chinese martial arts, I really don't believe in those stuff. Okay. So the three type of Jing I'm talking about is fundamental basic stuff, which is in order for one to play Wing Chun, one needs that. Thus, I answered to one of our friends from Canada when he asked me about this. If people grabs you, you're going to bounce him and so forth, using the third type of Jings. I say no, that is just, you have the tools you can play with. Otherwise, you don't even have chance. Okay, so because of that, it led me. Because of these questions, it led me. I like to explain to you how I look at in all this Jing and snake engine stuff, because I think it is important, okay, to have a tangible foundations and understanding, because I do believe everything has to be based on physics. It's not that you can pull something out from the thin air. Okay, so be with me. I share with you how I think. Again, I might totally miss it, and somebody might do magic and so forth, but what I present to you, share to you, is what I understand within myself. Okay, so I can be wrong. Okay, now the first thing we need to look at, in the ancient Chinese martial art, you have to look at the body of the art and the application of the art. This is very important. All martial arts, I mean a balanced, a holistic Chinese martial arts, in the say 1850, they all have a body of the art and the application of the art. And the body support the application. Application has to rely on the body of the art. Okay. So, for example, in today's example is like this. The body as art is like, for example, a four-wheel drive. The applications of the art is, for example, you can go drive down to the snow, to the icy place, to the seaside, to the mountain. That's the applications of the art. Okay, the applications. So you have this four-wheel drive, and you can drive in those places. Now it will be another type of the engine, or another type of body of the art, if you have a two-wheel drive, where the applications can drive fast in the highway, or the CD car. Okay. So say if we want to do a training on the four-wheel drive, or training on how to drive very well in the mountain path, in the snow, or the seaside, the beach, then you need the four-wheel drive engine. You bring the car, the four-wheel drive, to learn those techniques, how to drive properly. You have this four-wheel drive, you still need to learn how to use it because there's different scenario and so forth. However, one will not using a two-wheel drive to go doing those kind of training, because the two-wheel drive will not be able to support the requirement of the four-wheel drive in those type of trainings. Okay. So if you take a look at Wing Chun or other Southern art or Tai Chi, all this has a different body of the art and have a different applications of the art. They are different, that's why they are different. Okay? And each of them have a different engine. Okay? Even though they might, even sometimes as they both are four-wheel drive, but still you have a different type of four-wheel drive. For example, the SUV four-wheel drive and the sedan four-wheel drive. One is tall, one is shorter, and the center of gravity will be the same. Will be different. So when you want to drive corner, even both of them are a four-wheel drive, then the tall one has to consider the center of gravity, while the short one doesn't have to. No, so forth, so forth. So this has to be very careful. Now, if we do not develop the body of the art, then as we know from this example, it is chaos. Because when people talk about going to drive in the snow, in the mountain and so forth, we keep thinking, oh, you're using the sedan, our Honda Civic, we can do that too. Okay? So this has to be extremely, extremely clear about. Now, let's come to Wing Chun. Wing Chun make it really clear, be it from the one long set of the Yit Gam in the 1850, or the three sets, the 小聯頭層橋標誌, 3 sets from the 1850, which we know. Very clearly, everything of Wing Chun is based on, the body of the Wing Chun is based on the 小聯頭 sets. Be it the first sections of the Yit Gam 小聯頭 equivalent type of a long set, or the 小聯頭 set of the 3 sets. So, the engine or the body of the art is located in this set. It has to be developed in this set in order to play, in order to do other applications. You cannot have without this set and then without the 小聯頭 sets, and then you say, oh, this only application. Well, the ancestors don't design this way. Sorry, that might be not Wing Chun anymore. Okay? And Wing Chun is, according to 1850, that is how it is. It has to be. Because we cannot define arts. You might not like it, you don't like it, fine, okay? For me, but if we talk about Wing Chun, you talk about that. Okay? And somebody coming along might get rid of all the sets. Fine. But is that Wing Chun? No, because it's no longer having the body of the art and the application of art. So that is how I look at it. Okay? Now, speaking of the body of the art and applications of art, okay? In Wing Chun, there's 3 functions, which is the key major 3 functions, which is we always see it in a movie, we talk about it, but seldom we look at it closely. So what is the 3 functions? Number 1 is speaking. Number 2 is accepting. Number 3 is issuing. these three basic functions. Three basic functions in applications of Wing Chun. Now, this Wing Chun art need, because this is a closed body art, it need to be able to stick. Okay, so the stick, as you all know, can do many things and have many effect and applications. And then you need to receive. Okay, as the Wing Chun idea saying that come, accept. Okay, and then you got the issuing, where that is the inch punch, the short punch, whole bunch of stuff, the bouncing, so forth. So this three things. Okay. Now, so we have this idea in a movie, or we talk about we need to be able to stick, we're able to accept force or receive force, or we need to be able to issue force. So how do we implement that? Where do we get the training to be able to do these application functions? Okay, the ancestor solution is, because due to the design of the one long set or the three sets, it got to be developed in the Shilin sets. Okay, it has to be there. Okay, now for me, in my understanding, in my investigations, which I propose, it is a snake engine transformation of development in the Shilin sets. Or you might not like to call it snake engine or snake body, call it coil, call it anything else, but I use the snake because of based on the snake crane Wing Chun's writing and the Yikam writing 1850, which connect to the Ermei snakes. So I use it. Okay, that's where the snake comes from. You don't like it, you use the coil spring or whatever. That's fine with me. But it is from there. Okay. Now, as we know, talk about this snake engine, and so that it developed the body of the art to support the stick, the receiving or accepting, and the issuing. We know that within the one long set or within three sets, there's 5 layers of content there. There is the physical, there is the mind, there is the breathing, there's the chi layer, and there's the force change or jing, momentum, and the Wing Chun strategy. 5 layers there. Okay, but let's only focus on the most fundamental. Instead of going to the chi and so forth, we just focus on the key, which is need to be developed or transformed to in order for us to be able to perform the sticking, the accepting, or receiving and issuing, the 3 functions. Okay, so what is this? 2 things. One is the joints handling. Okay. The second is the Jing path and Jing flow. So if we define Jing path as the change of force, so there's a part of the change of force. Okay, and then there's a flow of the change of flow. So we have the joints, we have the Jing path, which is the part of the change of the force, and Jing flow, which is the flow of the change of force. We need to deal with this. If we do not know how to deal with this, we will not be able to do a good job in handling the sticking, the accepting, or receiving, the issuing. We will have tough time to handle that. So this is not mysterious stuff like something from the thin air and so forth. It is based on physical. Force, change of force is physics. Joint is physics. So in the training of Xu Ling Tao, there is the training of the joints handling. As we talk about, there's 7 big joints in the body, or we call it 7 bowls. How to handle that? How to use them in terms of integrations, or how we use it in terms of separations, because that's both important. The second thing is the change of force. Because of the change of force, that need to have certain kinds of pathway to handle the force change. And also, due to the change of force and the pathway of the change of force, then there's a flow of the change of force. Okay. So all this is a very fundamental physical stuff. Either one train it, develop it in the Xu Ling Tao or not. Okay. And again, because this is Xu Ling Tao, we talk about Xu Ling Tao. We are not talking about just go export something from Tai Chi, from Ba Guo, from Yi Quan, and then just to take that. It is a different story, because if you take those kind of engine, those type of engine might or might not support the applications of Wing Chun, because we know the engine of Xu Ling Tao supporting the application of Wing Chun. That's by design. But if you export something in, might not be. So here again, it has to be really careful. Okay, now let's talk about this. Since we know this 3 function: the sticking, the accepting, the issuing. Okay, 3 function. We know it got from the Xu Ling Tao to develop that, because that is the body of the art. We know it got to be snake engine. In my terminology, snake engine. Within the Xu Ling Tao, we develop that. We know the snake engine is has to base on. The snake engine has to base on the joint handling and the Jing path and Jing flow handling. Okay, so snake engine has to base on joint handling, the 7 joints handling, and Jing flow and Jing path handling. Okay. Now, this is just physical work. Sure, there's a visualization might involve on the advanced. Qi will certainly evolve for doing the refinement of the body and so forth. It does physically influence this thing. But now we take away those. We just talk about really basic physics. The joint handling and the Jing flow or Jing path handling, which is in terms of Newtonian physics, you can look at it as the trajectory of your force vector, the trajectory of the force. That is, you can look at that as the Jing flow and Jing path. Okay, so you have a trajectory path, and then you have the force actually going through. That's the flow. Okay, so you have the joints handling, integrate or separations or different manual rotation, so forth, and then you have the force vector trajectory, the path, and then you have the force actually which is occupied in that space. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, let me give you 2 examples on how you look at it in terms of these 3 functions. Okay. The first one, using our old Yatan Sanfo section, the accepting is from the fingertip down to the ground by the 7 bowl. Okay. Okay. So if I do a Wu Sao, see that joint by joints and going down. Okay. So the way of handling the joints, the 7 joints, I actually make a pathway from a Jing path from the fingertip of the hand going down to the ground. Okay? By handling the 7 joints in this manner, I develop a Jing path going down to the ground. Okay? And because there's a Jing path going to the ground, and if say I accept a force there and it push me in, you can look at that as like my body is like if my body is like a water pipe, the water is flowing through my body going down to the ground. That is the Jing flow. So water pipe, water flowing down. Water doesn't go right away touching this the hose and then right away going to the ground. No, it passes through the body, the pipe. Okay. So when the water passes through the pipe, you can see there's a flow, and the pipe is the Jing path. So when you do this Wu Sao, you actually establish the pipe. You establish the pipe or the Jing flow path. Okay, the pipe analogy to the Jing path, and then the water inlet analogy to the Jing flow. But then you have to have these joints to establish that Jing path so that you have the Jing flow can travel in it. Okay, so this is the example for the receiving. Okay, so we have 3 functions: stick, receive, issuing. Okay. Now, if I do the same thing using this Tan Sao or this Wu Sao for issuing example, okay, the second example, the issuing example, then it is again my 7 joints, because of the way how it is handling, establish the Jing path or the pipe from the ground to the back of my palm. So the force from the ground up to the back of my fist is the Jing flow, like the water flow up. Okay. So you always use the joints to establish the Jing path and Jing flow. Okay. That's how it is. Okay. So the 2 examples here, the accepting and the issuing. Okay. So because of we have this Jing path and Jing flow, we can play with the actions and reaction force, and we can handle the action and reaction force. We can make different uses of action and reaction force. Okay. Say one of the uses is, for example, if I accept force, I have because my joints handling, I establish my Jing path. Okay, and if there's action force to my hand, I let it flow down to the ground. There's action force, and when it flows down to the ground, I can make use of that force to issue back. This is how you can see. Say if my hand is a water pipe to the ground, you have water flow in to that pipe. Okay, flow in. This is my Jing path, Jing flow in. If I put something to stop here, the force coming in is going to reflect back. Okay, and based on different place, if I stop or I reflect that force back, I will generate different type of result. So one scenario is that I take the force in down to the ground, and then using and reflect it on the ground, or I can take it down to the elbow and then reflect it here. So imagine that just a hose here. If I stop the water from here, water is going to flow back. Okay? If it's coming down, it's going to flow back. If I stop it down there, so they have a different type of scenario. Okay? So except an issue can be like that. Okay? So you see, you no longer play with the I have to move my hand here and then no, you're just using the joint to establish the Jing path and Jing flow, and then you play with it from after the establishments. Okay, so this is the Jing path and the Jing flow and the joints. Okay. Now, the third one is the sticking. Okay, sticking is very important because in ancient time, advanced player is the one who have very good the kung fu in sticking. Because the sticking, it just stick at you and you will not be able to do much. It kind of like seal you off or close you down because it just stick at you, so sticky, and then you can apply force to him because it just like a phantom there. Okay. So sticking, I want to use an example to show you, of course, with the joints and the Jing path and Jing flow, to show you an example on this sticking function. For example, if my hand was pinned by my opponent here to my center line, okay, pin down there, push down there, pin down there. Okay. Now, first we talk about when he pinned down here, meaning that my joints, this joint here, this joint here, this joint here, or whatever on top of the pinpoint. Okay, if this is below the pinpoint, this is on top of the pinpoint, meaning that if I get pinned from the heart here, then this thing is all jammed, pinned. All this joint is pinned already. Okay, so this is my joint. It's dead already, in other words. Now, however, the point, the whatever joins under this, it is alive. Okay? So this is under alive. Okay, now. So there's the joints. Okay? Now, if I struggle with this thing, it's not going to be good because people are already pin me down here. Okay? So I'm going to only wasting my force and doing nothing. And so, okay, and sometimes if we go, try to go run away, okay, going shift away, still that is struggling of this pinning. It's like we don't accept being pinned already. We try to struggle to go the sideway and brute force it. Those are struggling. Okay. For the people who know the joint handling and the Jing flow and Jing path, they don't even have to move this one. All this, they don't move it. They just do a separations. Why? Because if you want this joint above, I let you get it. I don't need to move. Okay. But I can move this thing. And I can establish my Jing path and Jing flow from here down. To make you such that the attack or the pin from here, okay, is cancelled. meaning it's not effective anymore. Because if I get pinned like that, I can actually receive the force, establish a force path to the ground, and I can still drain his energy. Sorry, not energy, I don't like using them. Drain his force. So if he pin me like this, instead of struggle, go sideways, and the more I struggle, the more he control me anyway. If I go sideways, get my whole bunch of stuff, okay? Just get muddy. No, you just pin from this side. I just establish a flow down, okay? A flow down, and he will feel like his force has been drained. That he off his balance too at that time, okay? So, or I can issue it back. Wherever the path come, I wherever the path go. But I do a separations. No longer this, no longer needed, because this is just a burden for me. I don't want it anymore. Okay. Okay. So say for example, when I do that, when he pin me, he expect me to struggle, and I don't struggle. I don't even want to move. I just set it there at that location. I don't even want to move the contact point, but I establish a Jing flow down to the ground, and he feels like he doesn't have a control on me. At that point, he withdraw. Now, when he withdraw, I know all this joint is clear. I follow him back. Okay. So when I was pinned, I separate out my joints. I don't want it anymore. I'm just using the Jing Pa Jing flow from whatever alive side to play with it. But when he take away his force, I go back because now I can use it. Okay? So this is an example to show how different parts of body can use for sticking function. Okay? It just like stick at you. Now if I try to struggle, then I'm not sticking at him anymore. Okay? If I try to push him away, I'm not sticking anymore. So from here, I be able to take I be able to separate my joints. Okay, using partial of the joints and using the Jing path and the Jing flow to play with the force. So at this contact point, it is a Jing path and Jing force play. Is not a physical play. Okay. So with these three examples, I'll show you the accepting, the issuing, and the sticking. Okay. And this thing, in my understanding, is where the snake engine is from. Is important because it's from the snake engine. It is a play of the joints, integrations or separations, and it's a play of establishing different Jing flow and Jing path. Okay, so from this we know from the top, or we have the application of art and the body of the art. The application of art has to have these three types of function: the sticking, the accepting, and the issuing. How do we get it? We get it in Siu-Ling Tao. Where in Siu-Ling Tao? The snake body. Where in the snake body? The joint handling and the Jing path and Jing flow establishment or handling. Okay. So that's how I see this thing, and it's a totally physical stuff. It's nothing like sometimes you keep doing it, and after 10 billion years, voila, you got it. And of course, this one link. Finally, I want to say one thing. This link very critically to your Yiqi Kangyong Ma. If the Yiqi Kangyong Ma is locking up the knees and locking up the back, and just only manualing this hand, or even locking up your elbow, then you don't have the spring, you don't have the joint to play with. And without the spring and the core spring and the joint to play with, there's no way in the physical world you can generate those kind of stuff. You cannot handle it. Okay. Okay. So I know, I take a long path to explain the people's question to me on the Jing, the Wing Chun Jing, and so forth. But for me, I rather do it this way so you can see the big picture of it instead of jumping here and jumping there. And for Wing Chun, in my understanding, in my opinion, this is just the beginning of the play. Without this, if we do Pak Pa Lap Dai, all those kind of stuff, well, that's nice. But it always is like a missing something. It doesn't really get to what Wing Chun Kuen is about. Okay, and of course, Wing Chun is not the karate, hard style karate. No, because they have a different engine, different applications. Okay, so it's not Tai Chi either, because we don't do the big motions and so forth. Okay, the circular and those, we have a different type of way of doing things. Okay, so this is to share with you today, and I might be wrong, and this is just for your reference. Just plain my view on this subject. Thank you.